Hey everybody, Brad Guigar here with another episode of Webcomics Confidential, and I've got a few thoughts I'd like to share with you on Kickstarter. If you've never done a Kickstarter before, or if you've launched a few in the past and would like to do better, here are a few thoughts on doing it well, doing it right, getting the most out of your crowdfunding activity. First and foremost, make sure that you're factoring in all of your costs. This is a big one, particularly shipping costs. Specifically, right now, shipping costs from the United States overseas has taken a huge jump. It's a really serious situation. You want to really make sure that you figure out and factor in your shipping costs into your Kickstarter, and I mean not only shipping costs from you to the customer, but also if you are dealing with an overseas printer, how much is it going to cost to ship those books to your location? That should be something you should have up front from the printer in the initial quote, how much that shipping is going to cost. To factor out the shipping cost of your book to your clients, use that same connection, your printer. They had to figure out the weight of your book before they could give you their quote. They had to figure out how much it was going to weigh to ship to you. They know that information. So it's very simple for you to go to your printer and say, hey, how much is one book going to weigh? They can tell you that information. You can use that in return to figure out how much it's going to cost to ship this book to your backers. And definitely factor in international shipping. Now, of course, you're not going to have exact numbers, but you do know how many books you expect to create out of this. You have some idea how many books are going to be shipped. I would estimate at this point maybe up to 25% of that would be international, and you have to factor in a higher price for that. Don't get fooled, by the way. A lot of people make this mistake. They say, oh, well, I'm having them put the shipping in extra when they pledge for the book. The problem with that is all that money gets into one lump sum that you get through your Kickstarter. If you're not factoring that money into your goal, it's just money that's getting lost. So you need to make sure you're factoring those shipping costs, not only from your printer to you, but from you to your backers. You need to factor that shipping cost into your goal. Number two, you have to make sure that you're setting the right goal. Remember, Kickstarter is going to take 10%. Kickstarter as a group takes 5%. Another 5% goes to the credit card transactions. So 10% off the top of your goal is going to be taken away. If you don't factor in for that, then again, you may be 10% less of what you need. So, do what I call Kickstarter math, and that is this. I take the final costs that I've come to when I factored in all of the different costs. Take your final costs and divide it by 0.90. That will give you your new goal. Basically, what we're doing with that little mathematical trick is factoring the 10% back into the total. What you'll get by dividing costs by 0.90 is a number that after you take 10% of it, brings you right back to your cost. So we're factoring that 10% in. Cost divided by 0.90. Thirdly, remember to use your Patreon backers. If you're like most of us, you're already doing crowdfunding from month to month on Patreon. Don't make the mistake that you think you owe this book to your Patreon backers. Not only is that bad business, but the fact of the matter is your Patreon backers don't expect that unless you've made a bigger mistake and promised it already. But we can talk about Patreon on another day. Your Kickstarter backers do not expect Patreon rewards, and your Patreon backers don't expect Kickstarter rewards. They're two separate things. And more importantly than that, your Patreon backers are literally your biggest fans. They are the percentage of your readership that are most invested. They want you to succeed. They want to support your Kickstarter. They don't expect that book for free for being Patreon backers. They want to jump on board and become Kickstarter backers. So make use of that. What I like to do is I will, when I launch my Kickstarter, I won't announce it publicly for 24 hours. During that 24 hours, when I first launch it, I make it available to my Patreon backers exclusively to tell them, you are the #1 fans. You're the people that I am most engaged with. And as a result, I set up a couple of tiers that have no shipping costs involved. They can pledge in the first 24 hours and get free shipping. And I'll set a couple of key tiers up that have no shipping. After that 24 hours is over, I close those tiers off and I announce it publicly. As a result, during the first 24 hours, boom, I've got a whole bunch of pledges from my Patreon backers. #1, they feel like they're the most important. They're getting shipping for free. That's their reward for being Patreon backers, okay? They're getting treated like they're the most valuable fans, which they are. It does another thing too. If you have a huge leap in your first 24 hours, the Kickstarter algorithm starts to realize you might be somebody who's got something going on. We might want to, as Kickstarter, we might want to promote that a little bit more. We might want to get behind that and push. It gives you an advantage for the Kickstarter algorithm. It gives you something special to offer to your Patreon backers, and it gets you started off with an impressive number the first time you announce that to the public that you've got a Kickstarter. The first time the general public sees it, it's already well on its way to being funded, and that just reflects well on you. #4, consider BackerKit. I've been using BackerKit now for my last 2 Kickstarters, and it's a huge advantage, especially if you've got books that you've done in the past. If you've got some previous merchandise that you'd like to offer as add-ons, BackerKit is a beautiful way to do it. What BackerKit does is it opens up a store at the end of your Kickstarter. And when people go in and put your Kickstarter is pledged, those backers go in and give you their address and so forth. BackerKit says, hey, while we're shipping stuff to you anyway, would you like some of this other stuff this artist has to offer? That is guaranteed going to add another 10 to 20% onto your final amount of money that you're making through this crowdfunding exercise. Because people, of course, are going to say, oh yeah, I want this other book, I want this thing, I want that thing. They start adding stuff on. As long as they're doing anyway, they might as well add some stuff on. This is a proven moneymaker for independent artists. The add-on reward. Also, it allows you to pare down your reward tiers, because you can say right there on your Kickstarter, if you want some of these previous books I have offered, you can add a little bit of money onto your Kickstarter pledge right now, and you can give them the amounts that they might consider. You can put that money in, help the Kickstarter along, help us reach our goal, and then that extra money can be applied later on to your add-ons through BackerKit. It's a wonderful way to do it. Do check out BackerKit. Plus, what happens then is after your Kickstarter is done, it converts that Kickstarter page into an online store that people can come to at any point down the road and make a purchase of this book that you just released. It's everybody's nightmare when they get to the end of 30 days of Kickstarter. The first email they get after the Kickstarter is closed is from that one reader that says, oh, I just found out about your Kickstarter today. How can I get the book? It's very frustrating, especially if you've been on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, banging the drum on this for 30 days. There's always going to be a certain percentage of your readers that either didn't know about it, didn't hear about it, or procrastinated until the last minute and now it's too late. With BackerKit, it's never too late. You can give those people a URL in the moment. Boom. That's no problem. It's too bad you missed the Kickstarter, but you're still in luck. You can still pick up the book. Go here. BackerKit takes care of that process from that point on. You're going to be amazed at how much money you make after the Kickstarter with BackerKit. #5, have a good video. Listen, crowdfunding is all about the personal outreach from an independent creator to a group of people that is backing that creator, and it's all about saying, I'd like you to be involved in this thing. If you're going to be asking people for that, you should have, the common decency or the class to put your face on a video looking them in the eye saying, I want you to be involved. That's a very powerful thing. And I understand some of you may not be comfortable with that, and that's okay. Some of you may not feel safe doing that, and that's okay. But if it's something that's within your realm of comfort, I can't suggest strongly enough putting your face in a video, looking eyeball to eyeball with somebody saying, I want you to get involved. It's very powerful. That Kickstarter video should be definitely under 2 minutes, with the best editing possible, possibly as close to 1 minute as possible. You don't have a lot of time, especially if you're not a particularly great talker, if you're not great at being interesting behind the camera, and that's okay. It might not be your skill set, okay? If that's the case, be a ruthless editor and make sure that your video comes in at as close to 1 minute as possible. Get to the point, get to the important stuff, make your case, tell them what it's about, share your excitement, tell them why this is going to be great, and get the heck out. They're not going to stick around for longer than that, okay? They got stuff to do. They don't want to sit there and watch you unless you're very, very, very entertaining. And again, it's okay if you're not. Don't feel self-conscious, because really what matters here is a genuine, sincere approach from a creator to that creator's readership or to that creator's fan base. That's the important thing. Not whether you're great and glitzy and glamorous and all that other stuff. But particularly if this isn't your strong suit, get that video as close to 1 minute as possible. Make it short, sweet, to the point, and you'll find that that video has a lot of powerful effect. So those are a few things to consider before launching your Kickstarter. If you agree, if you disagree, if you've got a few to add, hit those comments, let me know, and we'll see you next time on Webcomics Confidential.